Hello, everyone, and today I got a proposal that dark stim is better than Gorilla Mind. So I made a video here, pretty much saying that Gorilla Mind is the best pre-workout, the cheapest and everything, and the best ingredients for the price, right? Well, someone said that there is a better one, and that better one is dark stems. And I looked at it, and it's actually something useful to talk about because it does look pretty good. In today's video, I'm gonna show you why that looks good and why you would consider this pre-workout. First of all, we have to look at the price, right? Comparing it to Gorilla Mind, one scoop was about €1.60. For this, so if we look at the scoop amount, this has 50 servings. So 50 scoops for $50. So if we're trying to calculate that, so it's obviously 50, or it's 47 divided by 50. So one scoop is 0.9 euros or dollars here, which is cheap, which is insanely cheap. If you find a pre-workout that is less than $1 or less than €1 per serving, that is very cheap. Now, what you have to do after that, though, is immediately look at the ingredients, and if the ingredients are good, then that is the golden pre-workout, right? You have to buy that. If they're bad, then you see why it's cheap, right? But yeah, the price is much cheaper than Gorilla Mind. I'll tell you that much. However, if we're looking at the weight ratio between the two, this is much lighter. So Gorilla Mind has about 40 servings, and it has about 800 grams in its pre-workout. So this is almost half and has more servings. Like, how does that work? Well, we gotta look at the back for that. And looking at the back, it is pretty simple to tell why this is much lighter. And that is because there's much less ingredients. However, that's not always bad, right? So let's look at the ingredients, tell you what's good, tell you what's bad, and tell you what's up. So first ingredient right here. And also, before I say anything, obviously, usually in these pre-workouts, it's better to take 2 scoops because the ingredients are much better dosed. And usually, when people make like the 2 scoop pre-workouts, they intend the 2 scoops to be the full amount. So like they intend you to take 2 scoops. If they write 2 scoops here, they intend you to take 2 scoops because that has the full amount of ingredients. And I can already see here some ingredients are better dosed when you take 2 scoops than when you take 1 scoop. But who thought of that? But yeah, let's look at the ingredients. First of all, L-citrulline, usually best used if it's about 5 grams. 4 grams is still fine. You're gonna definitely be fine with that. So 4 grams is okay. Again, if you take 2 scoops, 8 grams is phenomenal. That's gonna be great. But 4 grams is also okay. Now, talking about L-citrulline, obviously we know that there have been some people saying that L-citrulline malate absorbs better than L-citrulline itself. They actually took care of that. So if you look down here, they actually added malic acid into the mix. So they have not stated how much of malic acid there is in this formula, but there is malic acid. So we can assume that the malic acid is in combination with L-citrulline, meaning pretty much this is citrulline malate, but they state it as L-citrulline because obviously malic acid doesn't bond with L-citrulline. It's just in there. So they do have a malic acid. So even if it is stated that citrulline malate is better for absorption, they have that covered. Going on to the next one, beta alanine. I've said this a lot. Beta alanine is not great. I can put up a card of why it's not great. I did a whole video about this. But in short, it's not great in pre-workouts because usually you can't take a pre-workout every single day because of the caffeine. Now, however, the caffeine is pretty low. Like, it's still not that low, but it's like minimal. So in theory, you could take this pre-workout every single day. However, you would still build a resistance to the caffeine. It would just be smaller than if you took, this amount of caffeine. So in theory, you could take this pre-workout every single day, but you probably won't. You probably shouldn't. So beta alanine will do pretty much nothing. So beta alanine is the bad guy in this pre-workout. Moving on to the next one, red night. Red night. So first of all, looking at the serving size, so here they used 500 grams. So here so the dosing is okay. As per the studies on if it works or not, so they promise that there are some studies saying that it increases resistance to fatigue, increase neuromuscular advantages, improve neuromuscular efficiency of force production, and also increases cognition. So here they found that it increases cognition. Again, it's one of those ingredients that you can't really tell if it's like seriously good or they just promise that it's good. May increase exercise performance tolerance, can boost stamina, endurance, and potentially helps brain and cardiovascular health. It seems like it's okay, yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those ingredients that they kind of put in that, like, it's like a mix. So it's like one of these ingredients, so red night, estrogen, bioperine. Like, those are the type of ingredients that I'm talking about. Like, okay, sure, let's say there's studies saying that it's good. You can't really say how much it increases those, like, strength and cognition and everything. You can't say how much it increases, but it does work, and they have indeed dosed it okay. Moving on to the next one, L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine, proven that it does indeed work. Basically, the body uses L-tyrosine to create neurotransmitters, which can increase focus and stuff like that. However, I do believe that the dose is not fully maximized. So what we usually see in pre-workouts is obviously L-tyrosine being around 1 gram or more than that. And so if you take 2 scoops, then it is enough. Here it could be dosed a bit more. CDB choline acts as a choline donor. So it's pretty similar to alpha GPC, which is also a choline donator. Basically, what they have been found to do is increase noradrenaline and dopamine levels, and also no serious side effects, so that's always good. Now, one thing that I also have to mention is that citicoline has been found to be better than CDB choline, and it's just even more safer. However, CDB choline does work, does increase focus, does increase cognition, so it does work. Moving on to the next one, L-theanine, and L-theanine also found to work. It has been found to work with caffeine. So if you take L-theanine specifically with caffeine, it works better. So Again, study found one group taking just L-theanine, one group taking just caffeine, and one group taking caffeine and L-theanine. And obviously, the group that took both had better results. And the marginal gain from L-theanine was more than if you just took L-theanine. So it does work. However, I would probably say that it's much better if you take it at about 200 milligrams. So here it's 125 milligrams. It's again, if you take 2 scoops, it's enough. Here it could be dosed a bit better. Looking at the caffeine, so they have stated the total caffeine here, which is 180 and 360 for 2 scoops. Now, I would suggest that if you want the better part of caffeine, you should probably stay in between 210 milligrams and 600 milligrams. So here it is a bit lower than that. So if you just increase the caffeine a bit more, again, which they do in the 2 scoops, then it would be better. Splitting up the caffeine, we obviously have caffeine anhydrous and dicaffeine malate. Caffeine anhydrous, again, I don't have to say much. It's been proven, literally the most proven ingredient in between all ingredients in a pre-workout. So it does work. Dicaffeine malate, again, just releases slower. Uh, Releases slower between your workouts and just gives you energy throughout your workout. Also does work. It's all right dosed, I suppose. Moving on to the next one, estrogen, and this one we have gone through quite a lot, and it pretty much its main effect. So I've read a bit more about it. Its main effect is to promote protein synthesis. And the thing is, though, when you're working out, you're actually blocking protein synthesis. So when you're working out, protein synthesis is not happening. Protein synthesis happens after your workout. So if you take estrogen before your workout, the protein synthesis effect that it has, it just does not work. Like it does not work. So the only real good thing that you could get from this is the reduced inflammation and the increased ATP production. However, for the increased ATP production, I couldn't really find the study that they were referring to, so I looked at most of these, and I couldn't find the ATP production study that they used. So if you want to believe this, you can believe it, that increased by 18%, but I can't find the study. So suppose if they are correct and if this does increase ATP production, yes, there's marginal gains from taking ATP or taking estrogen. However, they're very minimal, and the main effect of estrogen is obviously increasing protein synthesis, which is not going to happen, and also increased steady state absorption of arginine and beta alanine and citrulline, which is also good. But that's kind of off track. Main effect protein synthesis, side effect increases ATP, and you're trying to go for the side effect. It's kind of meh. I would say this ingredient is kind of meh. Lastly, bioperine. And basically what bioperine has been found to do here is increase iron absorption, which sure is good for performance, right? And good for apparently metabolism here. And has no adverse effects, so yeah, I would suppose it does work. Again, the big thing that I've heard is that iron doesn't absorb that well. So if you can use any any ingredient or anything to make the absorption of iron better, that's good. So, not quite sure how much dosing you should use. Okay, so 5 to 10, 5 to 20, and here it's about in that range. So, yeah, it's decent. Formula is pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. Again, the formula is much smaller than in Gorilla Mind. However, the one thing that I am freaking astonished is the price. The price is tiny. It's tiny, and also if you're looking at the subscriptions that they're showing, reduced by $14. If you're ordering every 4 weeks, it reduces by $14. So 33. That's like even like it's like insanely cheap. Like I can't even tell how they're making money on this because of how cheap it is. But yeah, the ingredients for the price are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Is it better than Gorilla Mind? Maybe. In the cheapness side, yeah, sure. In the ingredients side, probably not. So if you're going for something cheap, totally, man, this is amazing. If you're going for something better ingredients, then it's probably not the best choice, but it is insanely cheap. So yeah, an 8 here. How about that? Pretty good, pretty good. So yeah, thank you and see you in the next one.